Hey everybody, I am going to talk today in this video a little bit about an assessment that I ran in my class. This assessment's a little different than probably what you're used to in your classroom. For those of you that have followed along in my classroom over the years, you know I like to do things a little different, and I think that's why you've stuck around so far. And if you're interested in learning kind of a different way to do sort of an assessment in your class, unlock kind of a different way to look at students learning, then I think you should stick around for this video. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. Here we're going to talk a little bit about the setup of this class. I have it set up in kind of a unique way. I'm going to sort of pick this up here and walk around a little bit. I have on this half a bunch of seats. Those seats are for students that are taking what I call the regular test. And then over here I have 3 tables for what I use for the challenge test. Now let's talk a little bit about those 2 things. That idea in and of itself is great differentiation and something you could build towards. If you're a brand new teacher and you never really taught before, don't worry about it. This isn't something you have to do this year, but something you could build towards. If you're kind of a veteran teacher, you've been around for a while, you've taught this subject for a while, I strongly recommend challenging yourself to making 2 different types of tests. And I don't just mean 2 different versions, like one with different multiple choice. No. I don't mean that at all. I mean something crazy different. Make it truly a challenge or something they have to do. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about this particular one. Regular test for me is kind of your normal standard test, something I want to reduce the stress level on my students, right? So it's your normal multiple choice, fill in the blank, those kind of things. A little essay at the end. Maybe I'd have them do something creative with an essay or something like that. But this challenge test, this side, these students, they would be on these tables. That's right. They got Copla blocks, which laser cut blocks, standard, that they have to sort of build with. And they got Legos. Now what they're doing with those is they have to build 3 different scenes. And on those 3 different scenes, they have to try to weave in as much history as they can. In this case, it was for the China unit. So they're trying to weave in as much content as they can. I also upped the difficulty. They got a sheet of paper, and on that sheet of paper, it showed 3 different build zones. One that was the whole size of the paper, another one that's half the size of the paper, and then another teeny weeny little one. They had to sort of build something that was kind of big and massive and connect as much history to it. And then they had the medium size and the small size. They had a little box on another sheet of paper that they had to sort of write up their response. What is it that they had created up to this point? And I loved the creativity that came from the students on that portion 1. And I also got to coach kids up on great essay type skills where it is your opportunity to show growth. It's your opportunity to show content knowledge. And so as best you can, weave in to this as much as you can. Don't build something that's so small, or if you do build something that's small, think about other ways it's interacted with. So for example, I had one kid make a seismograph. That is a vocab term for me. The Chinese invented the seismograph and they made it, right? But that's almost like a vocab term. So you're like, they're just gonna build the seismograph. But this kid built the seismograph, but then talked about other geographical aspects of China that we studied. They said, if the seismograph alerted something that happened in the northwest, that might mean there was an earthquake in the Gobi Desert, a second vocab term. Then they talked about the rivers and the societies that lived on those rivers and how that it could help people. They could go up to the Changjiang River or the Henghe River and help and look and rescue fellow peasants, lords. These are vocab term, right? Shi Huandi. They have all this content wrapped in to a thing about just the seismograph. And they had to build the seismograph. And they had to think, what would be the better build for the big, the medium, and the small? And this is only portion 1 of my test. Then there is a second portion of the test that they have to go on to that's even more crazy and zany creativity. That one is a resource found on EMC2 called Backyard Brawlers. I hope what I am encouraging you to do is think outside the box a little bit and offer your students a choice. I had plenty of kids take the regular test, plenty of kids take the challenge test. And that option is nice. And that was a simple way for me to differentiate. Each and every one of my units has a challenge test and a regular test. They have to choose which one they want to sign up for. It's also great practice for them to think through and be self-reflective. Have I prepared? Do I know my material well enough to take the challenge test? Now, what makes those challenge tests so challenging is that they're all based on what's called active recall. There's nothing on the test that is necessarily going to remind them of ancient China. They themselves have to bring that knowledge. All right, everybody. I hope you are thinking about how to use these different assessments in your class, and I hope you got an idea of things you could kind of pick up and use. And as always, if you're looking for other activities to do in your class, check out the other videos on the site. Also, possibly go over to EMC2 and check out the 500 resources and growing that you could use to sort of differentiate in your class, to bring engagement in your class, and move up that Bloom's taxonomy. We'd love to have you there. All right, everybody, take care.